Hello there, welcome to today's review of the Earthspark Terran hashtag. This figure is part of the same wave as Soundwave, so you might have some issues trying to find her. Getting into the box really quick. Same type of box as Soundwave, it's just one of these revised white ones. Nothing too special. Now for hashtag, I'm not too familiar with the character. Again, like I said in my other review, haven't really watched Earthspark much, but I did think the design was pretty cool. I am always down for more unique new characters. Now getting into this figure here, as you can see, casting this nice light purple. The figure, similar to Soundwave, doesn't have all that much paint, but she does have it in all the spots she really needs it. Getting into the head sculpt here, she has a visor that is painted a very light blue. Pretty cool. She has a ponytail thing going on here, as well as a little communications antenna on this side. I do wish that, similar to on the box, in the actual show you can see her eyes through the visor. It would have been nice being able to see her eyes if it was cast a translucent plastic, but fortunately her entire face is just one solid mold and it's just painted blue. She does have some nice sculpted detail throughout the robot just to make it interesting. Not too much, not too little. Paint-wise, the light blue and silver on her face. You got a deeper blue up top. Got some silver here. The slightly darker shade of blue on her chest for the window, which I do find interesting because they don't use this shade other than on her forehead. Even the window for the actual truck isn't this shade, so I'm kind of interested why they use that. Silver and black here. Got the gold on the rims on the inside. Otherwise, the rest of the paint here is all just for truck mode. I wouldn't say she's missing all that much, unless you really want silver on the gray bits here. Color blocking does most of the work. And overall, she's a pretty clean robot. The backpack looks large from the front, but it's actually surprisingly flat. It doesn't get in the way, which is very impressive for a female Transformer. Usually they have giant backpacks just hanging off here. The only other real kibble on her is the arm panels here that go past her hands, but even those fold up so it's not all that messy. Now for articulation, she has the usual ball joint at the head, but it pretty much just acts like a swivel because she can somewhat look down, but she cannot look up at all, which is very unfortunate, although really it wouldn't be able to thanks to the ponytail and kibble. Her shoulders are on a transformation hinge here as well as a ball joint, which has a cutout. The ball joint allows her arm to go basically a full 90 degrees out, and then anything beyond that you can somewhat fiddle with the shoulders to get it a little bit higher, but I would say it's a pretty good range. The shoulders can go 360. She doesn't have a dedicated swivel, but her elbow is on a ball joint, so that acts as the bicep swivel, and as well as the elbow joint, which goes to 90 degrees, and nothing at the hands because of how they transform. Unfortunately, no waist swivel, which is a shame because the backpack does untab, so could have had one, but oh well. One of the sacrifices for being $5 less than a Generations figure. Her hips are on ball joints, so they do the full range, as well as a full kick all the way up. No issues whatsoever. Dedicated thigh swivel, 90 degrees at the knee, and the feet are on ball joints, so you got an ankle tilt to there. You can tilt outwards, can rotate, and it can go up and down. Overall, pretty good range. I wouldn't say it's anything amazing, but I would say it's pretty good. Quality wise, I would say that this feels very solid. None of the plastic feels thin or flimsy at all, and there's not even that much hollowness. I mean, there's small little bits here on the very back of the arms. It's not very noticeable, and that's about it. They hid the hollowness pretty well. Most of it is just necessary for transformation, and it's not all that visible, so not much complaints there. Accessory wise, the figure does come with two weapons. First one being this little pistol here. It's nicely sculpted, but it's cast in all black, so you don't really see many of the details with it. It's just on your usual 5mm port. You can plug it in and go pew pew. This can store on her. You can open up the backpack here, fold this down, and then this tab will plug into here, like so, and then you can just fold that away into her back. And there you go. The weapon is fully stored inside. And that is, funny enough, the vehicle storage as well. So you can just leave that in. And then the second weapon is this crossbow pickaxe looking weapon. There are images of her using it as both. you can give it to her as a pickaxe if you really want. As far as I can tell, the real intention is to be a crossbow-like weapon, which does give me RID strong arm vibes. And that weapon can store on her back with this little 3mm port going right here, her back, like so. And that's the weapon storage for that one. Now for size comparisons, here she is with a normal Earthspark Deluxe Optimus, the usual average generations Voyager, and a figure that I find surprisingly relevant, Legacy RID Strongarm. Now the reason I found this comparison relevant is that both of them share a surprisingly similar transformation, being nearly identical, with the legs being just slightly different between the two. But otherwise, their kibble layout and overall transformation is extremely similar. And I would argue that this feels like a more refined version of this, surprisingly, considering it's $5 cheaper. Now getting into transformation here, first thing you're going to want to do is just take these panels on her arms, flip them up, and then flip her hands down, and then just bring the arms on this gray hinge up like this and plug them in like that. Do the same on this side, and then you're going to take this backpack, you're going to want to pull this out, flip this section out like that, and then once the backpack is fully extended, just bring it back down here, and then this piece will simply fold over the head. You want to take this, you want to just hinge it forward, and it will clear the ponytail with this cutout right here, and then you can just angle the backpack back up, and then you just take the hinges and the shoulders, scoot them forward, and just slide them into here, and these will slide into the front grille right there, and then just have those bits plug in underneath here. Now for the legs, you want to flip the feet around and point them down, flip the feet around, point them down, and then on this hinge you will just crack the leg in half, bring it in, and there's just little tabs and notches that will just rest in here like so, and then you just bring this down and these tabs will go into slots right here, and that's it. There you have hashtag in her alt mode. And I dig this alt mode. I mean, you don't get to see pickup trucks all that often, surprisingly, in Transformers. Rolls surprisingly well. And with the alt mode, you get to see all the paint apps come through with these lovely painted bright blue windows on the truck mode here, as well as the headlights, the grills down here, turn signal lights, the bumper / winch area here, the grill here. You got some nice painted blue here. The rims are painted gold. You even have tail lights, and you even have a brake light up here on the very top. Don't get to see that all that often. And the detailing on the truck's pretty nice. You got the 4 doors here, vents, the winch, of course. This is a little bit messy, but that's just due to the transformation. What are you gonna do? Got the truck bed, which does have some nice detailing in it. You even have the bump out for what would be the wheels for the actual truck. And there is a gap where you can see her thighs in there, but it's fine. I'm not gonna complain too much about it, given the cheaper nature of the figure. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this. I dig this. I'd say they did very well with this. Now for weapon storage, the black gun is already in there, but if you ever need to put it back in or take it out, you can just lift this up and access it at any point like this. As for the crossbow, this 5mm port will go into here, and interestingly it has a post in the center, so it's kind of a mini-con port. Found that interesting. But anyway, that post as well as this slot goes on top of here, and you just have that hanging out the back. Surprisingly not that ugly. Almost kind of resembles a spoiler. Now bringing in the only relevant comparison really. Here's Legacy RID Strongarm. And like I alluded to earlier, the reason that this is a funny comparison is they transform essentially identically. Except, what I find a bit funny, considering this is $5 more expensive, hashtag honestly feels more refined. This feels like a more refined, straightforward and less clunky transformation than this figure. They have almost the same exact transformation with the limbs and everything ending up in the same exact locations, but hashtag honestly was more straightforward. less stuff fights you on this than this. Now granted, that might just be a symptom of this being a remold of Alita 1, completely possible, but still I do find it really funny that this is just way smoother of a transformation while being cheaper, and honestly, ironically, feels more solid. This feels more rattly and has some off bits. Now that should be all. Overall, I think the figure is pretty darn good. It's very solid, nice quality, smooth transformation, pretty fun, and I would say she comes with pretty much everything you need. Not a lot of paint apps missing. Again, she is unfortunately part of the same wave as Soundwave, so you'll probably have trouble finding her right now. I got lucky, I found both her and Soundwave. But if you're able to find her, despite the annoying distribution of this wave, I'd highly recommend her. It's a very good figure. I'm not too familiar with the character, but as just a Transformer, very fun, dig it, highly recommend her. It's a very good figure considering it's $5 less than a Generations Deluxe, so I'd say go get it if you can. But that'll be all. Please feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. Now, please feel free to follow me on Instagram, where I take pictures of figures both before I review them and just for fun. But that is all for this review. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.